Hi and welcome back to our Flowzone tutorials. In this video we are going to be looking at user permissions for new projects. So when you create a new project in Flowzone, it is important to understand which users are going to be able to see that project. The Flowzone terminology is who is assigned to that project. So it is not the case that when you create a new project all users in the system can see that project. It depends on the setup of each user and which project company you are creating that project for. Let's have a look at this in a test setup. If I switch across to that, and you can see that I've got 6 projects in this project list here. Now this user is called ND, has got access to 6 projects. But if I go to a different user, so I'll go to my list of users, and I can use a function which is an admin function to switch to user, and I switch across to that user and go to the list of projects. This user has access to 4 projects. Let's switch back. Let's go to a different user. Go to the list of projects. This user has access to 2 projects. Switch back. Okay, so this is illustrating the point that not all users get added to all projects when they are created. And what we're going to be looking at is how to determine which users get added to which projects when those projects are created. If you look at your list of users, there are a number of columns which are really useful in this context. So the first one is add to new projects, permissions add to new projects, permissions all companies, permissions selected companies, and then assign projects count. If you don't have those in your view of users, then click on the spanner icon and add those in. So if we look at the final column first, the assign projects count, the user at the top here, AG, has got access to 4 projects, and we saw that when we switched across to that user. The user down here, MG, has got access to 2 projects, and again we saw that when we switched to that particular user. And I'm currently logged in as the user ND, and I've got access to 6 projects, which again is what we saw when if I look at the project list that I can see 6 projects here. Okay, so the assigned projects count gives you the indication of how many projects that user can see. The next column to have a look at is the add to new projects column. Now this is the same. If I click into this user, you'll see if I go to the permissions, this is what is ticked here, automatically add this user to future projects. So this column here is reflecting that information, automatically add this user to new projects. And you can see that for all of these users, that is ticked. If this were not ticked for any of these users, then it would not matter which project you created for any company, that user would not be added to that project. So that is the first condition as to whether a user gets added to a project when a new project is created. Is that ticked? If it's not ticked, they won't get added for sure. If they are ticked, they may get added. The question then is, under what conditions will they get added? To determine that, we need to have a look at the next couple of columns. So the next column along is permissions all companies. And if that is ticked, it doesn't matter which project company the project is created for, that user is going to be added to that project. In this system, it could be a project for the company Team A, or it could be a project for the company Team B. It wouldn't matter because this user ND has got permissions all companies ticked. And we can again have a look at that. If we go into that user, have a look at the permissions, and you can see that there is ticked. So that's why that's reflected in that column. For the other users in this list, we do not have that ticked. So we then have to have a look at this third column, permissions selected companies. And you can see that there are 4 users who are being added to projects for Team A. And then there's 5 users down here who are being added to projects for Team B. When a new project is created, and the project is for company Team A, we know that AG here, KT, ZP, and AL are going to be added because they have been set up to be added to any new projects for Team A. However, the users down here will not be added to that project if it's a project for company Team A, because they are going to only be added to projects for Team B. Now, if a project is created for company Team B, these 5 users down here will be added because they have selected companies Team B. The users which have just Team A selected will not be added to that project. Of course, the user ND will be added to that project because they will be added to a project irrespective of whichever company that project is for. So let's go back to the project list and actually create a new project. So we click on New Project, give the project a name. Now if I select Team A, you can see that over here there is a certain group of users who are going to be added to that project. If I select Team B, it is a different group of users. And that is all based on the permissions that we just saw for all of the users in the system. If I create this for Team B, so now I've got 7 projects in my list of projects, and I go back to my users, you can see that the users down the bottom here who were going to be added to any new projects for Team B have now got access to 3 projects, whereas before they had access to 2 projects. The user ND, who previously had access to 6 projects, now has access to 7 projects, because we know this user is going to be added into projects for all companies. And the users who are AG, KT, ZP and AL, who previously had 4 projects assigned, were not added into that project that we just created, because they're only going to be added into projects for Team A. I hope that's useful for understanding which users will be added into a project when a new project is created. Please check out our other videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.